20th, 2023 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Aaron Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Aaron.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to virtually raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually, the chat feature on the Zoom meeting is only available as technical support for users on their computer or smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and Tiffany Oliphant will help you troubleshoot. If you're a staff member experiencing issues, please contact the IT help desk for assistance. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table here. It is also posted on wcroads.org. There's a link available in the chat if you're joining us virtually. And now I'll turn it over to Chair Barb Fuller.
Thanks, Aaron. At this time, I call the meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt McDonald, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you. If you'd please join me in saying the pledge to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Support. Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The agenda is approved as presented. Next item is acceptance of meeting minutes. We have one set of minutes to approve today. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of March 7th, 2023, as presented, appearing on pages 3 through 12 of the packet?
So move.
Second. Any discussion, additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would call the roll, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Aaron, do we have anyone who wishes to address the board?
Not at this time. Nope. Okay.
Okay, nobody up here that I don't recognize. Okay, great. We will move on to written communications. They appear on pages 13 and 14 of the packet. Commissioners, is there anything you wish to draw our attention to?
No.
Not today. Okay. We will move along. We will bypass comment and follow up to public comment, for which there was none. Our next agenda item is new business. We have a consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 11. The discussion and background appear on pages 15 through 54 of the packet.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
I support.
Very good. Any comments, drawing attention to anything? If you'd call the roll, please, Aaron.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Commissioner Rod Green
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. We have approved the consent agenda as presented. Next item, we have one action item today. May I have a motion to approve the right-of-way acquisition for the Bemis Road Roundabout project? Background appears on pages 52, 53, 54. The motion itself appears on page 23 of the packet.
Madam Chair, I move that upon the recommendation of the Director of Engineering / County Highway Engineer, in concurrence of the Managing Director, the Board hereby approves the acquisition of a 4,540 square foot public road easement, which more particularly described in attachment A from the property owner Joseph Gallegos, was located upon a parcel of property commonly known as 7970 Whitaker Road, Ypsilanti Township, Michigan, with the corresponding tax identification number of K-11-33-400-002 in the amount of $20,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Kurt, did you want to say anything about this?
No. Not unless there's questions.
Okay, okay. All right. Aaron, if you'd please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Buller.
Yes. The action item is approved as presented. Next up are the reports. Our county commissioner liaisons would be first up, Commissioner Caroline Sanders or Commissioner Crystal Light. I don't see either of them, Tiffany.
No.
You agree? All right. Next, we will move on to the report of the road commissioners, starting with Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, on March 8th, I attended the chat with the road commission and there were 2 in attendance. And it was a very good meeting, very good questions that were asked. And on March 14th, I attended the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec meeting. There was a 3rd bid that was submitted for the 2 B2B segments, items 8A and B on the agenda. That was not open last Wednesday with the other 2 bids. The bid was submitted electronically through BidNet, the platform for which we distributed the solicitation, but was somehow filtered and caught in the county IT quarantine file. Now that the missing bid has been determined to be compliant and acceptable, we have found that it is also the low bid for the project. Since the new low bid is from a firm that we have not worked with before, we will need additional time to check references and other due diligence before making a final recommendation. Therefore, we will be recommending that the award of construction contracts for the 2 B2B projects be postponed to April 11th meeting. Thank you.
Interesting. So there's a quarantine function now in addition to spam and good grief. All right, any questions for Joanne? No. All right, next, Commissioner Yamas, if you would give us your report.
So I had a chat on March 1st. I review Tiffany Lovestell's weekly fuel trends, which are extremely informative and helps me see where we are in our budget. And luckily for gasoline, we've been under budget for a long time, or 8 months, I believe.
And now you did it.
Yeah. Right. Now I did it right. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Green.
Have no report.
All right. I will report that on March 7th, I joined the Watts 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan Overview via Zoom. The Long Range Transportation Plan is a vision with a 20-year horizon that's refreshed every 4 years. The current plan includes some $750 million in projects. And to learn more, you can go to the miwatts.org/2050 LRTP link, which will appear in the minutes going forward to see more about this overview presentation. They did a very nice job. I was the only one present, so I was in the catbird seat for that one. On March 15th, I staffed the Road Commission's chat session. We didn't have any visitors. On March 16th, I attended Congresswoman Debbie Dingell's town hall meeting in Chelsea. It ran from 5 to 7 p.m., was convened in the Chelsea City Council boardroom, standing room only. Panelists were the Congresswoman Dingell, Senators Sue Schenck and Jeff Irwin, Representatives Jen Conlon, Felicia Brabeck, Carrie Reingans, and Kathy Schmaltz, County Commissioners Shannon Beeman and Jason Maciejewski. The audience expressed a desire for these town halls to occur regularly. Suggestion was that they occur quarterly. Congresswoman Dingle supported that suggestion and the other panelists concurred. We had people from as far away as Van Buren Township. The others were Washtenaw County, but from all over the county, not just the western side. And that concludes my report. Moving on to the managing director's report, along with her staff and other updates. There is information on pages 55 through 62 of the packet. Cheryl.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Fuller. I'll start by asking if any of the commissioners have questions about the various reports that were submitted in the board packet.
Does that, Madam Chair,
Yes.
does that include the report on the social media and the fix it?
The communications report,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so I was impressed with the 23,327 emails that were sent out, and the opening percentage was 55%. So I thought that was pretty good. And there was 108 fallen trees that were taken care of. Woof, that's a small forest.
Staff has been very busy with a lot of the storm cleanup for sure.
There are a lot of leaners out there too.
Yes, I'm sure that Adam will cover some of that when, yes.
Well, great job.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And yes, one of the things that our communication staff works very hard on is making sure that what we send out is relevant. So we don't want to overpopulate, so to speak. So we like to have that higher open rate, and we'd like to think it's because what we're sending out is relevant to people, and we hope to continue that trend. One of the things that has kept staff quite busy, especially last week, was the high load strike on the Liberty Road Bridge over eastbound I-94. So kudos to staff on assisting with that. Ultimately, that is an MDOT, the freeway is under MDOT's jurisdiction, but as the maintaining agency, we certainly were involved in a lot of the traffic control. A lot of impact on our system when they closed eastbound I-94, and then in order to do some of the repair that included a full freeway closure plus Liberty Road being closed, we had traffic everywhere. So that created quite a lot of distress for this portion of the county. They got it back open, at least in its current configuration. So I guess what the long-term plans are remain to be seen. MDOT's still working on that. But right now, obviously I-94 is back open, which is first and foremost, but then Liberty Road itself is under one lane of traffic, and they're using temporary traffic signals for the control there. So we look forward to hear what is to come on that. So important connection into the city of Ann Arbor. So that took up quite a bit of time. We also did meet with the city of Chelsea last week. That was a nice meeting that took place, a lot of new faces. Clearly the city of Chelsea is surrounded by 4 townships, which are supported by the Washtenaw County Road Commission. And traffic is a big issue, as well as development and various issues that are going on both with the city and the surrounding townships. So it was nice to meet them and to continue to work on a good working relationship, especially at the intersections where, the county and the city roads come together. So that was a good, productive meeting, with obviously more to come in the long run with that as well. I'm sure that Adam's going to talk about, we've just continued to have various telephone calls and meetings with our townships, putting together the local road program. So that's certainly been taking a lot of effort. And then one of the fun things that we have is we've been planning and have confirmed our speakers and date and venue and all of that for our spring training, which is scheduled for Wednesday, May 31st. So that will be an all-day training session. The commissioners are all invited. We hope that you will be able to attend that day along with all of our staff. It's intended for everybody. We have a couple of different speakers coming in. The primary topics being MERS and specifically our pension, since that's one of the biggest benefits that we offer. And staff always likes to hear about and be further educated about that. And then we have a gentleman by the name of Lou Bender who will be joining us, and he has done a lot with respect to training of our supervisors, but this will be aimed at all staff, the focus being both generational differences and team building. So we look forward to that training event. So, and that will be at Washtenaw Community College on May 31st. More to come. So with that, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them before I turn it over to staff.
I don't see any.
All right, well, we have Dan up first.
Well, that's a switch.
I know, for cleanup.
Good afternoon, Board. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT. And my last few board meetings, I was quite talkative, so I'll try and keep it brief this time and maybe let one of my colleagues do a little more talking. But so here it is. Can't believe we're almost to the end of the first quarter, and focusing some energies on crunching some numbers and getting ready to meet with staff. That'll be in early April, and on April 18th, part of the working session, First Plant Moran will be here to talk about our 2022 year-end financials, and then we'll move right into the first quarter budget discussion. It seems like that is logical to combine both of those, you know, so it'll be number heavy for that working session. So if you love numbers, and Joanne, I know you're doing things with budgets, so hopefully, you know, you'll find them informative, and you know, we'll definitely have be able to add some projects back. And you know, again, our numbers from last year are looking pretty good, and the first quarter are looking okay too. So so that's some of the things we've been working on. Also, I continue to think about what fraud prevention measures we can make as an agency, and certainly I feel like we have a majority of things in place that we can. So one small change we'd like to make, but I want to make sure the board is okay with this. We are going to mask our ACH and check numbers in the board packet. Again, so if people are looking at the board packets, if our check numbers are not there, we would still have the vendor information and dollar amounts, but maybe we would just mask those numbers. But I wanted to make sure the board was comfortable with us making that change. So I don't know if there's any questions, concerns on that.
I don't remember ever seeing the checks in there.
Okay,
Wow.
Maybe because I wasn't looking for
sure,
that.
yeah.
It's part of it. Basically, the check register is included in the board
Yeah.
at each
Mhm.
time.
Oh, in here. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, thank you.
But if there was not a comfort level from the board, obviously we wouldn't make that change. And certainly you can ask us anything you'd like, but
Right. The vendor information and dollar amounts will still be there, which,
and dates.
yeah, and dates, which is typically more important.
Well, and Dan is great. If you've got anything, you're like, ooh, that's the biggest number in the whole string. What is that?
Right.
Ask him, and he's
Yeah.
happy to pull the invoice and the documentation to
Of course.
help you understand better. So never hesitate. You never take offense. I know,
Nope.
never have.
You guys are just
Yeah,
doing your
sure.
jobs.
I just think whatever it takes
Right.
to protect
Mhm.
what we have, because it seems like every day there's new ways that people are, you know, getting into people's accounts and
Right.
things like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anything that we can do to protect
Okay.
the constituents.
Okay, so I'm hearing from the board, this would be an okay change then for everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, I'm joining that.
Yeah, I don't see any objection.
Okay, yep, and certainly we can tweak the format too if there's something you don't like with it. So look for that either hopefully by the next board packet or the one after, but
Just hide that column,
right.
right?
yeah, we just have to figure out a
We have to do.
effective way to do that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
And then for IT, we paid a site visit for the technology in room 106. And both Chris and Josh were pleased with what they saw. There's some minor tweaking that needs to be done, but for the most part, they felt that the vendor had everything set up the way we'd like to see it. I was impressed because there were at one point in time, there were 6 employees from the vendor, it's ABI. They had 6 employees with us either in person or virtually. They actually had one person that was on a Teams call with us. So that demonstrated to me that they were serious about getting it right. And our takeaway was we were pleased with everything. So installation, we're scheduling for the week of May 6th, just for scheduling and so on, and for them to work on the final tweaks. I was also really impressed. Chris and Josh asked some great questions, and I think they seem to know the system as well as or better than the vendor. So they were kind of showing them, no, you press this button or you do this or you do that. So that was quite impressive for me, just to see, you know, their knowledge of how to work the system. So fingers crossed that they can install things the week of May 6th, and we're off and running on that. So that'd be great.
So is that the last room to be
Yes.
upgraded? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And also I wanted to acknowledge Josh Summerhill. I believe he's on the call with us virtually. Chris is on a well-deserved vacation, and Josh was here first thing, making sure everything was working properly for the board meeting. I think it's been very smooth. And so I just want to appreciate or acknowledge and appreciate Josh for all his efforts.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. So any questions for me? Okay,
I don't see
great.
any.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Adam Leif, our Director of Operations.
Good afternoon, Adam Lake, Director of Operations. Provide a little update today. Operations staff is performing forestry work as we speak, just preparing for the 2023 season and trying to get away from the storm cleanup, but hasn't quite been the case. Those 108 trees that were noted, there were probably another few hundred that we dealt with, whether it be evening hours or coming across them or falling while we were working on the other tree. So there were quite a few trees the past few weeks we've worked through. So getting things cleaned up is going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, quite a daunting task to start.
Nobody was hurt, right?
Nope, we are good to go. Unpaved road surface maintenance started again since a little bit of drying weather here, a little bit of opportunity to focus on that. So trying to get out and scrape some of these roads best we can, try to get them together for the springtime. Bids will be open for the material storage building this Wednesday, the 22nd at 2 p.m. So we're really excited for that. I'll provide some updates as we move through that process to the board. And then in 2022, we had some carryover facilities capital improvement projects. We recently got the PO order, or the purchase order signed. We're looking for 3 new security cameras and some proximity card readers that you usually use to get in. We're going to add those in a few areas. And it had delayed us over the course of the last year, trying to get the materials become available and schedule. So that's all from the 2022 carryover portion of the facilities capital improvement budget. So we'll get those going here in the spring on some exciting upgrades here for our system itself here at the main yard.
Right.
Commissioner.
I'm sorry, are those the ones you were talking about for the elevators?
Yeah, one will be essentially for the elevator. And then the cameras themselves, just replacing some of the outdated cameras we have. Similar areas, locations, we'll have them kind of on the top of the building looking back so they can see all our equipment, our employees' vehicles, you know, just a little added security for everybody. And then 1/3 one at the back of the shop facing out back, which we hope to have, because that'll be able to see the old salt dome, the new material storage building, and the fuel island all with one camera. And bring that all into our systems, which is something we already have, but a little upgraded camera system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Green.
It looks as if the salt usage is down for this particular season. Well, I thought there was a comment that sometimes when there's a mild winter, that salt usage can be up. So I want to know. about that.
Yeah, it was very, very low until about a month ago. And these storms have brought us almost back to like in the middle where we purchased. Yeah, we're actually we're waiting for our letters to prompt us for our, how much we're gonna buy for next year essentially. And we're eerily comparable to where we have been, but we are below average right now. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates at this point and we can say we are below average because a little less stress on the budget. But yeah, we were very, very, very far below until a month ago. And these wet events have just used quite a bit of salt because that was our only competition against the weather. It was all wet and warm. So we needed a lot of salt for that. So we're unfortunately catching up.
As Commissioner Green indicated, there's times when there may not be much precipitation down on the ground, but if we have to run around and still put all salt down, at some level, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, has its own little way of evening out,
Mhm.
unfortunately, but, yeah, so still looking good in that budget line item right now. Hopefully we make it through the next few weeks here and call it a season.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting through the winter and getting into the summer season, Cheryl made a quick note, but the 2023 planning, is full in force right now. In the next few weeks, we'll probably go to Linden, Sylvan, and Bridgewater Townships, confirmed certainly, to visit and discuss the local road program with them a little bit. Multiple phone calls and emails back and forth with all the other townships, kind of sharing information we can. And then this Thursday, the 23rd, we'll speak at the township supervisor meetings. We made a few notes for before, focusing on asset management and basically funding sources available to the township. Just try to help the townships learn with some of the new roads committees that they have, just help them with some of their planning to look into their futures. So, and that is my update, unless there are any other questions.
I do not see any.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Okay, and today, last but not least, we have Matt McDonnell, our county highway engineer.
Good afternoon, Matt McDonnell. Just wanted to say happy spring. So
Oh,
as
that's right.
we're
That's today.
talking
isn't
about
it?
winter, we're
Mhm.
looking forward to spring. And during that time, we always have this thing called seasonal weight restrictions. So those restrictions came off on Friday. That advisory went out last week, gave folks adequate notice that the good news that they were coming off. And really what we were doing is protecting our infrastructure during that seasonal period of thaw. We've got a lot of moisture in the pavement, in the ground, that really weakens our paved and soft surface roadways. So even though the frost may be well gone, when the rain comes, we continue to be saturated, that weakened state remains. So really, we're waiting for things to dry out. Once they sufficiently dried out, it felt like we were going to get there, and then we'd get a storm, and we get there again, and we get another storm. So we felt in close working relationship with Adam on this one, because a lot of the field conditions are really coming from the district foreman, superintendents, and really thought it was appropriate on Friday to lift them. So that occurred. Also, we're looking ahead. We're doing a lot of work with our communications team, scheduling virtual information meetings for our projects ahead. So the calendar is getting quite busy in April and May as we approach that construction season. Thank you for the action item today for the Bemis Road at Whitaker Road. That was the last piece of the puzzle for right-of-way acquisition. Our contractor will get started when school lets out in mid-June. Miller Brothers is working on that roundabout, so we're excited for that. Also, as we were talking about our partnerships with townships, we do have a lot of inquiries about the culvert and stormwater grant opportunity for that ARPA money that the county assigned to the water resource commissioners to basically establish this program. This first wave of applications, I believe, is due in May, and it's for a total amount of 600,000. So we put together a communication to send out to townships to make them aware and to offer assistance, because the township will be the one actually applying, but we're happy to support their applications and help them choose good projects. And there's no shortage of need. So certainly we've got a lot of interest and a lot of back and forth. Aaron Burkholz and Adam and James and our engineering department and operations are working very collaboratively to look at making that application and putting together some planning numbers for that. Any questions on that?
So is that through the Water Resources Commissioner's office, right? And is
Correct.
this ARPA money from the Board of County Commissioners?
That's correct.
then That they've just, okay,
$2 million was allocated. This first round of applications is 600,000.
200 of the 6, or it's 200
I'm sorry.
plus 6?
2 million was allocated, 600,000 for this first round
Of the 2 million.
of the 2 million. So
So,
there'll be subsequent rounds of applications.
and how many townships have asked for help?
At
I mean,
least
that was
half-
my big
At least half a
concern.
dozen,
Oh, that's great.
yeah. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of inquiries, so, and of ones that I didn't expect, so that's good,
Once they know they have some help, I think it makes a difference.
absolutely.
Who was, oh, go ahead. I have questions too. Don't fight. Commissioner McCollum.
Was Ypsilanti Township one of them?
I believe the supervisor did reach out to us.
Oh,
yes,
great.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Yamas.
So I wanted to know how many, you already asked that, like a lot of them. What kind of help are you offering them? Help applying for the grant, all the way from
Preparing the application.
preparing the application?
Mhm.
Okay.
And working with them, because obviously, we put our township booklets together. They're actually on our website. They look wonderful. Part of the booklet is a PDF map of culverts in poor condition on local roads. And that's kind
In
of
their
our focus.
township.
Right, so
Yeah,
that's
so
a
and
great
usually
starting point.
there's
right?
several to choose from, and we're suggesting we wouldn't do more than 2 or 3 per township. Because it's, you know, a fair amount of money, but it doesn't go very far when you start doing large culvert projects that are $100,000 or more dollars a piece. So,
What, you answered my second question.
yeah.
How they're gonna be able to pick, but I knew that. with your
Yeah,
program.
we want to say these things are ones that we would think would make good candidates, but ultimately, you know, it's your choice.
The township official's choice.
Yes,
Right. And then are you in collaboration with Water Resources to decide which ones from where and how many and?
yes. So ultimately, I think we're going to be part of the review team, but
Mhm.
ultimately they select them. So when in doing that, you know, culverts that are on county drains come to the top of the list.
Funny how that works. Okay. Commissioner Green.
You had mentioned there will be subsequent rounds of funding.
Mhm.
How many more rounds do you anticipate?
I think
And what
it's
does the money
1 or
look like?
2, depending on how much the need is. It really depends on our water resource commissioner, and how the first round goes.
Yeah, originally they said that there would be 3 rounds, but like Matt said, I think there's a lot of lessons being learned as we're going through the first round. So whether they hold to that or not is obviously up to them.
Yeah,
A lot of needs.
yeah, somewhat modeled after our county parks connecting communities. You know, they're really looking to support the townships on their needs and priorities. But it's not necessarily just townships. Certainly cities in Washtenaw County can apply as well if they have a stormwater need.
And if someone is applying in round 1 is not selected, are they eligible to resubmit?
I would think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate all the help you're giving to townships that don't have engineers on staff to draw from.
We look at it as a partnership, so we're here to support them and obviously we benefit as an organization when they're investing into our infrastructure.
Sure.
Right, and even if it's not selected for this particular funding source, at the end of the day, now we hopefully at least have a preliminary cost estimate. So if they're interested in doing the work in the future, it might be a different funding percentage, which is disappointing, but it still hopefully moves the project forward at some level.
Well, we're counting on Elena to find another pot of money somewhere.
Funny you mentioned,
She's
sometimes
pretty amazing.
we're able to get culverts replaced as part of safety projects because it extends the traversable slope, that clear zone area that we talked about earlier today. So she is very creative. So you never know what she'll come up with.
Thank you, Elena. If you're listening, I don't see her. Brent is though. so-
Brent is, absolutely. And thank you for the time this morning. That was a great discussion.
Yeah, it was good.
That's all I had.
Oh, okay. Any other questions for Matt?
Very
I do
good.
not
Thank
see
you.
any. Thank you, Matt.
That's it from staff.
That's it. All right. If there's nothing further.
Commissioner
I-
Fuller?
Oh, Commissioner Yamas, I'm sorry.
I forgot, Dan, I did have a question. I'm still always curious about the grant money. Have you heard any more about
Oh, the
application date?
pension?
Yeah.
For the pension,
pension.
nothing new from, we talked about a little bit at the last board meeting. Nothing new besides, it's an early to mid-April date when we can start submitting our information, and we'll be, we'll make sure we have all of our ducks in a row and we'll be ready. We've reached out to our auditors, we reached out to MERS. And so any necessary reporting that we need to provide, we'll be ready. So,
Great. Just always wondering if
yep.
drop that number. yet.
Yeah,
That
no, I
date.
mean, it is an opportunity, and we will definitely do all we can to take advantage of that. So,
I'm confident this team here will do that. You guys
Yep.
are great at getting grant money. So thank you.
Anything
Yep.
else? Commissioners? No? All right. Our next board meeting is on April 4th. It's 1 o'clock. There is no working session that day. Virtual chat sessions every Wednesday from noon to 1. March 22nd is this week, and all of us will be at the Highway Conference. Commissioner Green is scheduled for that in the event that he's not able to get on a Zoom or a Teams call. Cheryl has said she will cover it for us, so I think we're good regardless of the circumstances for Commissioner Green's day. And then on the 29th, it will be Commissioner Yamas. All right, make a note here. So having no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joya McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.